Max? What time is it?
8:30, 9:50.
Wanna play some music?
No.
Okay. I look like I have, like, curls. As if I am a Hasidic Jew. Which I'm not. So I feel like that's dishonest. Ooh, that's gross. I hate it when my hand is that close to the camera. Hi guys. Hi. I'm in my classroom and I'm gonna communicate some of my intentions for the school year. Oh, I haven't worn eyeliner in a long time. Hi. So yeah, I'm gonna share some of my intentions and then answer. I just said ask. I'm going to answer any questions that you might have about my job that's not directly a part of music. So during the summer, it's kind of a strange reality because I feel like I can focus most of my time on, hi Bethany, on songwriting and sharing music online, and then even trying to play smaller live gigs around town. And then something switches in me at the beginning of August, because then I know, here comes the school year, all over again. And depending on how the summer was, sometimes it's immediate dread, and not because I don't like my work, but sometimes I just feel tired already. So when I already feel taxed physically, emotionally, the idea or the anticipation of meeting a ton of new people all over again sounds a little overwhelming. However, it's been really good. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to do a better job of documenting this part of my life because it's a huge chunk of it. And the same way I've talked about my heart and my desire to make and play and share music, teaching holds a huge part of that too, or at least working with youth in this capacity. So yeah, I want to do a better job. I'm going into my, drumroll please, my 10th year, which feels crazy. It doesn't even really feel like my 10th year. Part of that is probably because the first four or 5 years I was laid off every year. So come April, I would get an email from the administration and I'd get called in and basically get the notice that in the fall there would be no room for me at the inn. So I would start making plans, or actually, I don't even know how to make plans. Whoa! One sec, I'm gonna tuck these back for a little bit, just get some. I would start crying in the earlier years, and then praying, crying. And when I say crying, some of it was like, just because I thought like that's what I went to school for, that's what I felt like my heart was bent for, was to work with youth in this way, in that specific content area. And for the first 4 or 5 years, every spring, I would get the notice that I was gonna be laid off, and then miraculously brought back. They'd find money during the summer and bring me back, which was cool. I'm glad that they brought me back, but it also made me feel like a rookie for the first 5-6 years. And after that 5th year, I went to, I left the high school. Well, I got laid off, but there was no money found that summer to bring me back. But an option opened up at a local middle school, and I took that middle school position kind of with this idea of I'm gonna jump into it, I'm gonna do the best work I can do, I'm gonna love my students, and then if it just really isn't a proper fit, then we'll go from there. And I was there for 3 years, and it's totally different from high school. I don't think you can compare the experience, but I really loved my students, and my colleagues were awesome too. And then last year I came back to the high school I was seeking a part-time position, something where I could give a little bit more time to music, just because I felt like I kind of topped out. I did as much as I could doing both, and something had to give, and I wanted to see if my school hours could give. And the position that came up, hi, by the way, if I'm stopping, it's because it's a live stream. You guys know that. What was I saying? Sorry. Oh, they didn't have a part-time position open up within social studies or within history, which is what I was accustomed to or trained, licensed to teach within, but they did within their leadership, student government program, and they were wanting to invest in it again. It kind of fallen away in years when they lost employees or lost people who had built up the program. And they'd continued it, but it kind of just been held together by teachers who were working really hard in other content areas and also trying to hold this up. So, I took it over. And they added another class, which is cool. And the idea is that we have another intro class before you join the leadership, advanced leadership course. And that's a good question. And those are, those students hopefully will get, well, if it works out, they will get, what will they get? They'll get candy. Just kidding. I started a thought or a sentence without thinking about it. The Intro to Leadership class is meant to build servant-based character in students. At least they gave me a lot of freedom to rebuild. I'm glad you think candy's good. To rebuild the leadership program. And what I didn't want it to become or continue down the road is just an event planning class. And no one had ever said it's just that, but due to lack of funding or time and resources, by default, it had to become just that, make the posters, put on the assemblies, do the dances, all fun things. But if there's no driving force behind why we do what we do, why we give up time and resources to do these things when it might not directly benefit us, or why we go out of our way to create spaces and events and projects that will definitely not benefit us directly. I feel like if you don't have that opportunity to talk to students about character and why empathy and compassion and adding value to your people who follow you, if we don't have an opportunity to talk about those things, of course they're going to be frustrated when you ask them to stay later to clean up, or when you ask them to put all this time into this project that they won't have any direct benefit to. So kind of rambled on that one. But Intro to Leadership, we go through the laws of leadership, and we look at real life examples of people within different spheres. So not just in school, but in business and in history, which that part's kind of fun, and in music and everything, and look at the people who stand out for their leadership, not necessarily because they have fame or position or they were the first ones there, but which of them have over the long haul demonstrated a capacity to really lead people. And a lot of those people too aren't famous or rich, and those are the hard ones to find, but they're like earth movers and shakers, and they're usually the mentors or the examples of the people who launched and now have a really huge social media platform. But that's Intro to Leadership. And then they go to Advanced Leadership, which is a little bit of that with the assumption that they got it, but I know that's an assumption. And then they spend a lot of their time doing everything from planning canned food drives to doing the weekly school TV station to assemblies to pep rallies to dances to homecoming stuff, and it's all good stuff that I enjoyed in high school. I don't have a fiery passion to be an event planner because of my dad. I feel like I'm capable of it, and that was my ankle, and I feel capable of learning what I need to learn in order to make sure that these events and projects are running efficiently. But if it's what's the word? if there is no room to have conversations with students about why we do it, I know that would really drain me. Or why we handle ourselves the way we do, why we say these things and don't say these things, and that it's not just about being politically correct. It's about knowing your history and being attentive and intuitive, intelligent, and empathetic. So I personally need those conversations with my students so that that's like the fuel for me. And then it makes dances and pumpkin carvings and all those things worthwhile. I was fortunate, then you left freaking Turkey. Oh, I didn't even read these comments. I'm sorry. Tate, you got my attention. Thanks, guys. Candy is good. I feel like I answered some of these questions. And yes, I'm in my classroom. So I've been in 3 different classrooms in my 9+ years of teaching. My first one kind of felt like a cave. I painted it purple on accident. I thought it was gonna be a really subtle lavender. I don't have a lot of experience, and it showed up differently on the walls. But my first one was purple, and then once I got laid off that fifth time, and I went to the middle school, I had like my nicest classroom at the middle school. So Tate, who I don't know if you guys can see who's in the comments, Tate was a former middle schooler of mine, and he can attest that the middle school that I worked at was light years better than the middle school I worked at. Not necessarily the teachers. My middle school teachers were legit, Mrs. Yoshina. But the infrastructure of my middle school, whew, it was struggling. Like, we would have weekly or monthly, community service cleanups. But I'm pretty sure it was just because our school wasn't passing code. So they would have us, it was like child labor, basically. But this middle school I taught at, where he was a part of, my second classroom, I had windows. The walls were really, really clean. I mean, the custodial staff was they were on it. And I would always chat with some of them that would be in my hall after school, and they were legit professionals. They didn't like it that I tacked flags in the wall. That kind of got me in trouble. But my wall, it kind of felt too clean. And now I'm here. And to be honest, I really like this classroom. Downside, it ain't got windows. There are no windows in here. Well, there's a window on my door. It's like a really skinny one. And there's a window into that room, but that room's blocked off. It's not mine. I can't have it, but it's got computers in it. So the plus side of this is that even though there aren't windows, and it kind of mentally messes with me, so it forces me to have to leave the classroom and walk around. But plus, when it snows, no one's distracted. Yeah, and he's gonna be coming on up to the high school. So that's what's kind of strange and good about this weird back and forth. I would never tell the district or the state and the budget makers of sorts that I'm glad that they laid me off. However, what it did force in me really early on was it detached that mindset that I am a teacher. That's all that I am. Because according to all the steps that they tell you in your schooling and training, I followed all the steps. And I worked really hard, and I still got laid off. So there will always be circumstances outside of my control, obviously, but that was a really good example for me. You can do all of this, right, Isabeau? And there will be no space for you in the school, or any schools, because your country is in a recession. But the blessing of it is that it started to chip away at this feeling of I am just this, and and everything that I am and all my values attached to this. Because when I lost it, I'm if that's all that I am, if my only value is achieved through what I do, and who affirms me in what I do as a teacher, then I'm screwed. Because I have no job, and I can't I can't get one because no other schools are hiring. So I don't know where I got off on that one. Oh, but what I was trying to say is Tate is one of the handful of middle schoolers who I met as a middle school teacher, geography, and then hopefully I'll get to work with them. Now I'm in the elective, so it's a little different. But they're coming on up to the high school tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow. So yeah, I start tomorrow. Actually, I've been started, but students are here tomorrow. That means I have to semi-make my hair and wear clothes without holes in them. Ah, the pressure. And I need to make sure that I say what I mean, that I'm clear, but that I'm not, like clear. Does anyone know what I mean? Can't always say what you feel, 'cause sometimes what I feel, they're pretty strong feelings. With only expressed through very strong words. Yes, shower and human things. I have to do those things during the school year, and it's a really rude awakening for my summers when I can just, I still go out and I still work and I still see people, but I kind of let it go. I do. I forgot. I haven't been reading these comments. I'm sorry, you guys. I do have to shower. She is the type of teacher that can tell you that you absolutely suck, but you leave feeling appreciated. Tate, can you explain that more? I feel like that's a huge compliment, and I want to write it down. Oh man, I want to write that down. Tate, tomorrow come by my classroom and write that down for me, because I think I'm gonna, not on my wall, that might seem arrogant. I think it was a compliment, but I'm gonna write it somewhere on my desk and put it on the side. Hey Madison, I would love to have had you in class. Do you tell your students what you do on YouTube? Okay, early on, no, I didn't tell anyone. But then I realized that, no, I didn't realize this just happened. I put my YouTube channel public because two of my students really early on were like, you should try it. I was like, oh yeah, what's YouTube? I had a private one that I was sharing songs with my family for a while. I think I heart-wise wasn't ready for the trolls. I had no idea exactly what they would troll me on, but even anticipating someone just hazing you with their words from behind their screen and keyboard was like, oh my gosh. It made me feel sad, and my temper went just even thinking about it. So I didn't want to do it, and then they encouraged me to, and I launched it, but they knew, a select few knew. And I have this memory, yeah, people are mean, and I was really nervous about that. But now I don't really, it matters, I still feel it, but it's easier for me to be like, get off my page, you troll. Go make your own channel and you can make videos about how good of a troll you are. What was I saying? I saw my eyes and they looked like little half moons and it freaked me out. Do you have to cover your tattoos? My kid's school is so conservative, not complaining I chose it, but they even ask parents who volunteer not to be too eccentric. Okay. Tattoos, and then what else was I answering? Oh shoot. I got really distracted. Well, I guess I'm not gonna answer the last question because I forgot it. No, they don't ask me to cover my tattoos. However, I had this and one on my leg when I first started, and I asked my mentor teacher when I was in grad school, is this gonna be a problem? Not so much because I personally had a conviction that it was a problem, but I knew at that point teaching was what all the investment had been for. It was all the sacrifice of myself, my family, my time, my resources, was to be able to be in the midst of those classrooms with those students. And I'm like, if this is the only thing keeping me from them, I can take it out. I might wait a little bit and then challenge you on that one, but if I just got to get the approval and get in the door, and then I can have beef about it. But she wasn't bothered by it, and no one else really, even if they were quiet about it. But my advisor, so my grad school advisor who would come in and do observations and basically assess me. I remember my first meeting with him, he started with a compliment, which I was grateful for, and then he immediately was like, what is that? Take that out. So that was like 10 years ago. I think it would be different now. But I took it out and I wore a stud, and then I always wore pants. And then slowly but surely, so once I got hired, that went back in. Nothing was said by the administrators that it was an issue, which thank you, administrators. I appreciate you being intuitive about things like this. And I've got more and more on my arms as the years have gone on, and I don't purposely hide them. A couple times I do consciously wear, not just for weather purposes, but for others, when I will wear my long cardigans or jackets, is typically things like parent-teacher conferences. When I'm meeting some of these parents for the first time, it's more of me saying, I would prefer for you to see me and to hear me first, and not block me out necessarily because we might differ on things like tattoos and stuff like that. I mean, yeah. So that's probably the only time that I have intentionally covered up, is if I'm going to meet parents or maybe even community members that I have no rapport with, that they don't know my context, they don't know where I'm from. Not because I think I should have to. It's no longer like a guilt, like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed, what are they gonna think of me? It's, I like these, I know why I have them. The people I trust and hold in high esteem, they even approve of them, which that's a gift. But I can't expect everyone to be on the same page as me on everything. Who would have thought? So I'll often throw on a hoodie or a cardigan, and it's funny, you can tell if one of them has a tattoo and it's hot, I'll start to inch up the hoodie, or I'll take it off because I'm like disarmed. And now I have a new principal here, new than when I first started teaching, and he has tattoos on his arm and his leg. So I peel. I said it wrong and then I tried to mock myself and I got it wrong again. I feel very comfortable now. I talked to my principal about new ink that I've got. Like, that was the first thing, one of the first things he asked me during teacher in-service. Came around and we were sitting, he asked me about the summer, and then he asked if I got any new ink. I'm like, I did. I got on my arm. Thank you, Tate, for answering that. I was trying to do a complete thought because I'm habitually distracted by comments, and then people watching this later get really confused. Can I DM you my favorite quote and put it on your board? Yeah, Madison, send it to me. Obviously, like, I'll read it, and if it's something completely contrary to the conversations we've had, like I can agree with it, I won't put it up, but I feel like I will agree with it. Do I have kids? No, I do not have my own kids. I have a new nephew as of late. My brother had a kid. He's back home in Hawaii. My older sister has two, Sunny, one of which is one of my greatest friends, and he's older. He's gonna be 22 this October. And then my niece, she just started 6th grade back home in Hawaii. And then my older sister is pregnant again, which is great. So I'm an auntie of many, and then I have lots of kids here. I really do like kids. I like little kids. I like middle schoolers, surprisingly enough. I like my high schoolers. And I feel like the next question is, do I plan on having kids? Yeah. One day. And we'll see if that happens to be physically or through like adoption and fostering. So there's a lot of kids that need some homes. There are a lot of kids that my parents looked after. So yeah, that's a big part of Tyson and I's heart. So we'll see how this turns out. Hey Ben. I'm reading. This is me trying to like a quick read. Sounds like I have like other voices in my head. Thanks, Ben. I hope. I don't feel like I'm going to be getting any awards. I don't try to like, there's a certain, how do I say this so it doesn't sound like I'm dissing it? There isn't. There are career teachers who are a specific breed or brand that I feel like will inevitably be like teachers of the year, like the ones where I get the magazines from the NEA, and you're like, wow, these people are doing amazing things, and they are. I don't necessarily think that the things that I spend myself on with students are necessarily, I said that twice, are going to get that kind of national attention, but I never started out doing them for that. So thank you for that encouragement, that I need those little doses, because I ain't gonna get teacher of the year. Okay, yeah, no, send that to me, Madison. Yeah, and if you do adopt, hopefully we're still in contact then. I would love to know more about that. Tell them that you pranked me on April Fool's and I totally died. Hey, Tate, can you remind me of how I pranked you? I love pranks. I have a really hard time pulling off pranks, though, because they're funny to me at the moment I think of them. And then the idea of having to wait like a day, a week, God forbid, a month before I like let it out, it kills me inside. I don't feel like I do them well. But I feel like I do remember doing that too in middle school. Erin, I don't teach in Hawaii. My dad teaches at Maui High. My older sister, she taught for about 10 years at Maui High, and she just stepped down. And my grandmother was in Hawaii, but I've been up here in Oregon for over a decade, and right out of grad school, I got this position, and I had that same summer when I was hired on here, Tyson and I got married. And so I've been here. My younger sister's moved up here now, and she finished school, and then she's working. So definitely wasn't, I think, what we had thought. Not what I think. It was definitely not what I had thought once when I left Maui. But it's what is. And I would love to, when we do find our way back to Maui, I don't know at that point what will be, but I would love to work in this capacity with students. And I don't know if it'll be in a formal classroom setting, or if it'll be more tutoring, or if it'll be helping my family launch some sort of like charter program. I don't know, but I would love to, not just love to, I don't see myself not investing in this way. Even if music hopefully does move along and grow in the way I've been hoping, I know this will always be a huge part of my heart, so I will have to do the hard work of balancing those two and prioritizing appropriately. Yes, I agree, Ben. I concur with your comment. And Madison, okay, cool, then I want to hear your stories. Oh, yes. So I'm going to admit to this because I think it's just, I have to admit to it, and I know it's horrible, so save your comments. For a long time, my April Fool's joke was that I was pregnant, and I'm just going to start with the downside. The downside of that is that there are people who are trying and have found out that they can't, or it's going to be a really long road, or have tried and have lost. So it is a loaded joke. Young Isabeau was probably not thinking about that. And then as Bo got older, why am I talking about myself in the third person? As I got older, the pattern was stuck, even though my mind was like, I feel like this might be a little off. And then it became almost this thing like, I'm going to test people because I've done it every year. There's no way that they're going to believe it this year. And inevitably, they would believe it. But I get it. You have to believe it every time, because if you don't, then you miss out on one of the biggest celebrations in a couple's life. Like if you're like, nah, and they actually are pregnant, that's like a big no-no. So Tate's class, I can't remember how I announced it. This was the last year I did it, Tate. I have not done it since. And I'm not going to be doing it anymore. Also because everyone's asking me if I'm having kids. Now I just don't. You'll know, because then I'll have them when I have them. But I just remember everyone else caught on that it wasn't real. But Tate, in his beautiful, undefiled, pure heart, didn't hear any of the other stuff that would have really hinted at, like, this is a complete joke. Like, I think I started it off with, hey guys, it's April Fool's. Did you know it's April Fool's? But he didn't hear that. All he heard was Isabeau or Walker just said that she's gonna have a baby. And he just broke out in celebration at his desk, which was when the grief started to settle in me. Like, this is wrong. This is really wrong. I'm horrible. And when I told him, I'm pretty sure he cried a little. And then he was angry, understandably. And that is no longer my April Fool's joke. See, we can grow up. Some of us take a little longer. Sorry about that. Apologies. Well, that was a horrible face. Watch this. This is how I'm gonna feel this Friday. Oh, this Friday. This Friday we have an assembly, which sounds like nothing, but it stresses me out because it's like your class is on public display in front of the entire school. It's not private in your classroom where you could teach and facilitate learning and then assess. It's just full on, hey, look what we did. And if it sucks, everyone gets to comment. Or at least everyone feels like they should comment. And some of the commentary is really good and helpful, and some of it is just, Anyways, that's Friday. And then we have a halftime activity. What is it? Like, we just doing like a relay. That's probably the most chill part of it during the football game, or halftime of the football game. And then we have the dance. So any of my going to be current students, or if you're attending the school where I teach, here's a little plug. This Friday, right after the dance, there's a welcome back. Let me try that again. Right after the game, the football game, there's a welcome back dance in the cafeteria. And you have to bring your school ID to make sure you are actually a student at this high school. That's how we protect you from the creepos. And last year it cost $5. We're gonna be announcing the price Wednesday. We're trying to figure out if that's a good idea or not. It's pretty chill. Don't dress up. It's not semi-formal. It's not formal. It's what did you wear to the game? Wear that to the dance. And if you love people watching, it is prime time people watching time. And if you like dancing, some people are dancing. Some people are doing other things, but mostly dancing. We'll be regulating that. Now no one's going to come to the dance because I just said we're regulating it. Yeah. Okay, good night, Tate. See you tomorrow. What time is it? Sorry, I'm looking at the time, Master. Hey, what time is it? Oh, you can't hear me. Oh no, what time is it? Let's see. Yeah, Madison, that's something we're trying to figure out too, is for students who genuinely, that kind of activity is just really unhealthy, unsafe, what they could do, like still be a part of the community but not torture them, because that's horrible. Okay. So really quickly, you're welcome to keep commenting or asking questions, but I wanted to share what my intentions are for this year. I sat down and I wrote some of them out, and I'm gonna give I can't talk. I'm gonna give myself some grace in that I think I forgot some things, or there might be things in this list that could be, more concise or brought under like other subpoints. I don't know. But I just want to be clear about this. And this was good for me because it helps me, like setting these intentions help me to be honest with myself about what my goals are. Goals that aren't attached to student achievement necessarily, or to projects or events going well and getting the thumbs up from the administration, but these are more things that what I intend to be and do while I'm here. And I'm sure I'll have things I want to add on later. But what I'll do once I post this is I'm going to put a marker where this starts, because I meant to be a little bit more, I meant to open with this, my bad, I got distracted. It's just really good to see you guys. And I wanted to say this real quickly. Hi, Emily. It's good to see you. Okay. So my intentions for the 2017-2018 school year, going to year 10 as an actual paid teacher. I intend to balance my time. I want to be effective, but disciplined in keeping boundaries, which I know will mean saying no to things or handing off projects that sound really exciting or I want to be involved in everything, but being willing to model that for my students and delegate those roles. I don't know if this is going to be inspiring, but I'll be honest. Ooh, you can see my crooked double joint finger. Okay. Next up, I want to actually know my students. I feel like this has definitely been a focus in years past. I don't know if I've always been outright with it to others, but if not for the students, I don't know, I would not be here. Like I wouldn't want to be here. So I want to know my students first. I want to know their names, like actually what their names are and pronounce them correctly, or if they have nicknames that are appropriate and preferred. I want to call them by the name they know themselves to be. I want to know my students' strengths and their weaknesses, and not so that I can manipulate them, but so that I can highlight their strengths and help celebrate them. And then when it comes to their weaknesses, not to shame them, but to aid them in working through them. I want to know what they're interested in, what they're passionate about beyond the obvious academic things of the classroom. I mean, that's always exciting when we connect on, for history, social studies, or when you just see them really passionate about what's going on in school. That's really cool, and that's good, and that can be translated into outside world. But I know, just from my own experience, from my siblings' experience, from the students that I've known so far, that a lot of them have a lot going on in there that they can't really compartmentalize into the classroom. But it's those passions and those interests are huge strengths. And often most of them will build their careers around it. This is part of it, building rapport. I want that respect and that trust that I think is it's like what makes any of this possible. It's really hard to learn from someone or to follow someone or to take critique from someone if you don't believe that they know you, because then it'll just feel like an attack. I want to be a better listener, and I want to listen and model listening. When I used to teach early U.S. history, and we would work through the Civil War and Reconstruction and talking about how there were some huge amendments that were added in that changed laws that would change the world, but especially our nation as we know it. It was really big. There's nothing small about that. It was necessary. But you can change a law, but just because you change the law doesn't mean you change someone's mind. So we talked often about how that can be really shocking for some, discouraging for others, because the laws have changed, but people, if their minds aren't changed, if their hearts aren't changed, then they will find new ways to do what they want to do, and just alternative routes. So I want to listen, model listening, and then hopefully earn the trust to be listened to with the goal of changing minds. I know I have a temper. My students don't see it usually. I don't think anyone's seen it here. My close people, my family have seen it. And one of the things I was thinking about in this past year when I just was wrestling with certain things and felt like my temper would just flare up about it, is that at first there's this feeling like, I just want to eliminate what is opposing me or anything that is hurting me or the people I love or just people. My first human instinct is to get rid of it. But how that just goes contrary to also what I want to do, and it's like I don't want to like obliterate you. I don't want to eliminate you. I want to change your mind, and I want to win you. I want to win you over. So, I want to win people over. I want to embody a contagious curiosity for things of leadership in history and in business and in education, but also just curiosity. I mean, the way that I'm trying to grow in my music and the challenges that I've faced with songwriting and my instrument and arrangement and the business side of it, of getting out to local gigs and getting people to view it online. That is, and like recording it and editing it and all that kind of stuff. I feel like I'm always having to stay tuned in and learn, because if I stop learning, then I stop growing. So I want to show them in my own struggle, in my own following my curiosity, that it would empower them to be more outright about it, because I know a lot of them are doing it already. It's not like I'm doing anything new, but just encourage more of that. Be curious, be curious, tinker, try. You're gonna fail, you're bound to. Try again. Yeah. And part of that I said, encourage taking good risk taking. Good risk taking. Not every risk is good, but most of the things that will force you to grow, they are risks. They're risky because it's gonna cost you something, and it might not turn out well. This hair is driving me crazy. Hey, I'm almost done with this list. I plan on making space for people, my students, and my colleagues. Making space to listen, to be in staff rooms with other people, even when it's potentially socially awkward. In the past, I would just shove food in my mouth in hopes that I wouldn't be asked a question and then not know the answer or not know how to explain it without being weird. So making space for people means I might just have to be me and just welcome them into the space, and when I'm in their space, just be at peace. And yeah, I don't feel like that's what I totally meant when I wrote make space. Welcome back to it. But foster healthy relationships in and out of school. So to not let, I think that goes along with, I can't talk right now, balancing my time to be effective in my teaching position, but disciplined in my boundaries. That discipline in my boundaries, one of the things that I intend to protect are my relationships with friends, with family, with my husband, my relationships that exist within the music spheres. I don't want it to become something that every school year I disappear. I know it's costly, but there's got to be a way to do it better. Here's a short one. I want to continue to do lunchtime open mics in my classroom. I bought a lamp just for that. You can't see it. I don't know why I'm pointing to it. Here, you can see it. That lamp that's shining at that really high-tech TV. I came back from an open mic late. I think I got home like at 11:30, midnight, and remember thinking, man, that was good, but kind of exhausting, and I was nervous the whole time, and how do I get out there and play, and how scary that is. And then I was like, oh wait, students probably feel like that. So we started doing lunchtime open mics and gave them room to play it, and I want to continue doing that for a whole number of reasons, but I'll just keep it brief because I feel like that'll unfold. That'll be a different video. I want to pray more often with conviction for my classroom, for my students, for the school I work in, for the teachers that spend themselves daily here, for the administration who take a lot of heat, and for this community that I've been in for about 10 years, that I had no intentions on ending up in. I didn't even know it existed until my advisor called me up and said they placed me here for some of my student teaching. I don't fully understand all the ins and outs behind why God saw it fit to put me here. There's obviously some hints, so those of you who are like, what, that's horrible. I know why, but this was a blind side. But there must be a reason why I've been in Canby so long. Right? There must be. No, there is. So I want to pray for these people that I spend so much time with. And I want to continue showing up to work, listening, challenging, preparing, working to do all this, knowing that I was made for this, to love people in this way and not for accolades. Because we know that those aren't guaranteed. I mean, your job's not even guaranteed, so you really got to figure out why you're in it. And then if it's rooted deep, then remain, and if it's not, and you have the option, maybe seek something else. So that's it. Well, I'm long-winded. There's probably more. But I feel like there are a lot of things I didn't say, surprisingly, because I said a lot. There are a lot of things that I didn't say that I'm sure could fit in these. Could be like, oh, that's related to this and this and this and this. Okay. Good night, Madison. Oh yeah, right. Those of you who are students, by all means, you can shut me up, go to sleep, turn off your phone, and have a beautiful day tomorrow at school. How is it? Oh, Uncle Kaina, are you still on? I didn't recognize it at first. I'm gonna read this real quick. Thank you, Uncle. I start tomorrow with students, so if you remember, be praying for me. I mean, not just for me, I mean for all of them, but I would appreciate the nerves and everything that comes along with the beginning of seasons like this. That I just want peace. Hi, Steve. Thank you. Sorry I didn't sing in this one. This one I'm focusing on a different, related but different aspect of life now. I'm glad that it was peaceful. Sleep deep. Okay, if you guys have any questions, I'll answer some questions before we pack up and head out, because I also, I work tomorrow. I'm gonna shower and, go night-night. And now I'm just looking to see if there are any snacks in here. Oh. I found raisins. Yogurt raisins. I'm gonna save these. Oh, I just ripped off a blank piece of paper. That's irritating. See my little, I love Post-it notes. I probably use them. I don't know if I always use them in an efficient manner, but right now I'm feeling pretty solid about my desk right now. Yeah, it's late start for, it's late start Wednesday for everyone, and tomorrow it's just freshmen. And they start at 10, but I have my first meeting at 8, which isn't 7. But coming off my summer schedule, 8 might as well be 5 in the morning. Ooh. Working and doing covers. So in the beginning, I don't know how I did it. When I put my YouTube channel public and then started releasing them more often, the quality of my covers, because of my equipment, was pretty low, so the production portion wasn't very much. Like, I literally would just sit down with a song at my computer and record it directly into the computer, and it was a one take, which all of mine pretty much are one takes, but it was literally like, I would just do it and then press stop and then upload it. But as time has gone on, and I've made investments in different pieces for my really simple setup, I can't get over what this is looking like right now. I'm gonna tuck it back. That does create a little bit more time, so it's not just trying to improve the quality of the song vocally and instrumentally, but then it's trying to figure out the best way of recording it, So it has started to take more time so the content reflects growth personally. So it's been good accountability to grow, but that means it does take more time. That's what I'm trying to say. I create a schedule. That's how I accomplish the at least once a week cover. The Instagram snippets are typically like really quick one takes, and they're most of the time really fun for me. It's just a way for me to be listening to new songs and learning new songs. And sometimes they're just personally like songs that like minister to me. So it's good and healthy for me most of the time. So those aren't that tough. The YouTube ones take a little longer. So I have a schedule that I stick to. So the healthier I've gotten at creating boundaries with my work and even socially for me, because I do have, what's that term they have for people that are afraid of missing out? I have that, which is funny because I'm married to a complete introvert. But when there's things going on, I want to know, and if it connects with me, I feel like maybe I should be there. And I do see growth on my part. That as the years have gone on, for a number of reasons, people probably praying for me for this, from failure that's led me to have to like consider it, and just down to like physically being exhausted and being like, I can't grow in this area if I don't create more space and time to work on it. I've gotten better at even saying no to hangouts and social things, and not feeling guilty to be like, I can't go out. And they're like, oh, why? What are you doing? I'm like, I just can't. And sometimes it's to rest so that I'm ready to write or to play or record. And sometimes it's like, oh, I have music work, and I'll call it that, which it is. But in the past, it was always the back burner thing. And I would do it really late at night. My voice was probably horrible and all that. But yeah, I built a schedule and I made some boundaries. And I'm eating raisins that I found in my desk. They weren't even in a box. Just kidding, they were in a box. Sorry, I wasn't reading the comments. Ben, good question. I am technically 3/4 time, which doesn't sound like a huge reduction, but it is. And the nature of this new position, which is not social studies history, but it's leadership and student government, it's kind of feast or famine. So there are some days where I really feel like it's 3/4, or some weeks or months where like this definitely felt like part-time, and it's really cool because I'm starting to feel some of those hours back, or I feel more rested. So when someone calls up and says, hey, can you fill in on this bill at this bar you'd go in at 9, I'm not dreading it. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Whereas in the past I'd be like, that's dumb, I'm so tired, I could pull out my eyebrows. That's not a thing. But I teach every day, and after 4th period, I'm technically done. But it's feast or famine because there are times like homecoming season or welcome back to school stuff, or when we do like food drives and things like that, where the week before I'll be done after 4th period and have less work to correct and all that kind of stuff. And then the next week I'm done early technically, but I'm back in the evening, or I'm staying late after school to help pass out bags for the trick-or-treat can retrieval, or to set up for the senior citizen prom, or to stay after school with kids, with students to work on some of their projects, individual ones or our group ones. So I feel like I understand a little bit better this year. Last year it was all new, totally felt like a guinea pig year. And this year it still feels new. I have not mastered it, but I know a little bit more about what to expect. Hopefully that answered your question. Yes, Chaz. That was really hard for me, learning how to say no to good things, because there's a lot of good things. It really forced me to examine why I was saying yes to the things I was saying yes, because it's not necessarily bad to do some of these things I'm saying no to. It's just there's just a lot of unnecessary energy being put out, and not always for the right motive. And I wasn't seeing the long-term effects that it was having on me. Thanks, Uncle Kaina. I love that you just said you go girl. That might be the first time I've heard you say that. What's the process like while you work on your original songs? My original songs, like the songwriting process or the recording. So some of my originals have come really quickly, and they feel, which is rare, that the words and the music come quickly and the arrangement feels right and set, and you're like, that's good. And you listen back to it like a day later, like, that's still exactly what I meant. That's rare. That's happened once in a while. And even those, once I've recorded and put them on YouTube, I'm like, oh, I'd still like to tinker with it. But most of the time, that writing process, pieces of it might come really quickly early on, and then I'll put it away either because I just need to give it time, or I'll get frustrated and I'll come back to it and add to it or change it, play with it. But I typically like to play it quite a bit before I put it on YouTube. Just because sometimes it's still changing for me. I might put a snippet. Instagram is where I put most of them when I'm in the process of writing. Like, I'll share like a chorus or even just, I don't even know what it is yet, but it's something that's there. And but yeah, Instagram's definitely where I share the freshest stuff, or on lyrically, like on Patreon, which I need to get better at with my patrons, because they often will have feedback. They help me listen to a lot of the songs and tell me what they're hearing that maybe I can't hear because I'm too close to it. But YouTube, yeah, it usually is. By the time I recorded it for YouTube, I like it. It may still change. It might not be perfect, but I like it. I'm like, I'm ready to share it where it's at. And then when it morphs into something else, I'll share it again. But yeah, I don't know if that answered you. Good night, Madison. Yeah, send me the quote. Thanks, Uncle Kaina. I appreciate it. Okay, I'll answer questions till my raisins are out. When it's not so hot, let's do another house show. Yes, Ben, I'm down. I was just, there are a couple artists that I'm talking while I'm eating. There are a couple artists that I follow on Instagram who seem to do house shows really well, and house shows like as I imagine them to be. Not necessarily huge productions, really refined and intentional, but nothing crazy. Like, it still maintains its intimate feel, but it's intentional in the sense that people are coming to actually listen to you. And asked her some questions about it because I wanted to do like a little house show campaign, which will be special with patrons that live in the area, because obviously the way I want to do it for the general public, if I have patrons who are interested in doing it, I would like it'll look a little different because you guys are my patron familia. But yes, I'm all that to say I'm down. I've been thinking about that. Yes. Uncle Kaina, what did you do the same? I need to ask my dad. Good night, Chaz. It's later. Yeah, it is really late. It's late here too. I should just be at home. I need to get ready for bed. So I'll probably be closing this up. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I hadn't realized that before Jose Gonzalez it was the knife, and I had to change that up. Hi, Elvis. Yes, Ben. Let's talk more about house shows. If any of you are in the area and you're curious or interested about what it would look like to host a house show with me as your entertainment, as your musician, message me on Facebook or on Instagram, or you can comment below, and I can let you in. Oh, I can't talk. I think I've said I can't talk like 20 times in this. I can give you more details as to what I'm envisioning for this season. And if you are a patron, like Ben is, and John was earlier, we can talk on Patreon, because I think it could look really cool and a lot more specific if I was working with you guys. Thanks for listening, Steve. I appreciate it. I'm not really sure what's going on with my hair right now. Kind of looks like I cut it and then thinned it out real bad. Jose's is better. I agree. That's the version that connected. But I obviously didn't do the tuning that Jose Gonzalez does, but that's okay. I meant what I played. Okay, so I gotta go. I gotta get ready for school tomorrow. If you watched this entire thing, wow, good on you. Bye, Ben. And stay tuned. I hope to do these live streams more often and to specify ones to answer questions or curiosities that you have about this world, this teaching world and what we're up to, and then other ones where I can answer more questions about everything from starting your YouTube channel and why I've done mine the way I have and what that was something in my throat, what I admire in other people's YouTube channels, even if they're nothing like mine. And if you're in the Portland area, I'm playing September 15th at Mississippi Pizza. I'm opening for a band, and I go on at 9. And if you're not going to Friday night football games, which I'm skipping, you should come listen. Okay. And if you're a patron, I'm paying for you. I'm paying your cover, so let me know if you're heading out. Cool. Thanks for listening, you guys. Have a good night. Here's to a good year.